Welcome back. I'm Michael Bull, and this is the Commercial Real Estate Show, where we're always having fun. We're invited to check out Commercial Real Estate Show TV. That's right, I said TV. Just visit YouTube and search for the channel Commercial Real Estate Show. You'll be glad you did. Well, our topic today is social media strategies that work. We're talking with Les Atkins with Orange SMS. And Les, I'd like to ask you about things that don't work, because how do you know it works if you don't know it doesn't work? What really doesn't work out there in the social media world for business users?
If you're just starting out in social media and you immediately try to sell something, it doesn't work.
Okay.
Period. So like if you haven't done anything or put out anything and you just created your profile and the first thing you say is buy my stuff, that doesn't work. Also, it doesn't work if you put out 100 different types of posts on the same subject. So meaning that if you're trying to, a lot of people try to dress it up. We call it salesy sale. So you try to dress it up. I talk about it like this from a perspective of making sure, if you wouldn't do it or say it to a family member or friend, then it's not going to work in social media.
Okay. The same thing like if you're at a party, if there's not something you come to a group of people at a party and talk about, then it probably doesn't work in social media.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't come to a group of people at a party and say, would you like to buy an office building?
Exactly, yeah, exactly. I mean, they look at you and go. But amazingly enough, there are some people that might do that. And, then they go with the numbers game. There's an old adage of, if I talk to enough people, then I'm going to get one or two of those people. Well, it doesn't really work that way in social media. The downside of it is if you do something wrong in social media, they're much less forgiving. It takes a lot longer to overcome that than it would be in just an advertising campaign or in talking to someone. It takes a lot longer to overcome doing something wrong on social media than it does in other traditional or even traditional environments.
Interesting. So don't go out and flog your wares. Go out and try to build relationships. Right?
Yeah. So we talk. Yeah.
Credibility.
Yeah. Build relationships. Build credibility. We talk about you have to build trust and loyalty first. And because your audience has become different, people are a lot more aware. I mean, think about it. Just 10 years ago, people were a lot less aware of how business worked, how economics worked, how advertising and marketing worked, and how television commercials worked, and all that stuff. So nowadays we talk about our audience is much more educated. And interestingly enough, if you're trying to reach the audience on social media, they're even a little bit more educated than the general masses.
Interesting. So let's talk about some specific platforms that that doing things that don't work. What should you not do on some of the platforms?
So on Google Plus is a great example. You should be a lot more open. So what you should not do, you should never sell your wares on Google Plus. Now, because Google's so vast, you can have a Google page that allows you to talk about your services and things of that nature. But Google Plus is much more community oriented, much more how's your day, what's the best photograph, a great picture of Atlanta, New York, or DC, or San Francisco, or Hong Kong. It's more of that type of community. On Facebook, the big thing lately is, never get in an argument. I mean, businesses, and there's a classic, and I don't remember the name of the company, I wish I did, but there's a classic back and forth with the audience in this company, and the company was like, just at the end, just berating this one person and then a couple of people. So what'll happen is you'll get people to gang up on you. So never get into an argument with anyone on social media. If they say something that you don't agree with, very tactfully just say you don't agree with it and then let it die.
Okay. How about Twitter? What should we not do on Twitter?
Twitter. The biggest thing on Twitter is, for lack of a better word of not doing, is be transparent. Don't lie. Would be a good thing on Twitter. Don't say you're doing something if you're not doing it.
My mother told me that when I was.
I know, yeah. There's lots of things.
And my first boss.
There's lots of things we learned in kindergarten that actually work really well in social media.
Yeah.
Be nice to your friends and share. And so, the biggest thing on Twitter to not do is don't lie. And again, the biggest thing is just don't always be selling. Give valuable information for free. That's the hardest thing for businesses to understand, is there are a ton of content and articles and things out there that have been written about your industry or about your cause or things of that nature. Share that information first. And it's the old adage of, if I build a relationship with you, then eventually you'll come and buy my services. So don't be really pushy either. Don't say things like that, you've got to come to my store because we're the best in the industry. Those types of things are better left to your advertisement, your marketing aspects outside of social media, not in social media.
Okay. Well, one thing that we've learned not to do, I think, on Twitter is, if we're typically posting, 3 to 6 things or 4 to 5 things a day, that sometimes we'll go to an event and we might post 15 to 20 posts, and we'll see some folks unfollowing because they're used to having informative tweets, 4 or 5 a day, but we've pushed 20 or 25 through their river information. They're like, let's quit following this. It's too much, right?
Right. So you've got to spend a lot of time on understanding how often your audience wants to hear from you, and then stay consistent.
They don't want to hear from me every second, do they?
They probably don't, but they don't want to hear from anyone from every second.
Right.
So I mean, but keep in mind that the biggest thing to keep in mind of the don'ts is don't do anything on social media that you wouldn't want your family members or your mom to see that you did.
All right, that's a good point. And the next segment we're going to get into advertising, because that's what makes social media really work for these companies. So people are advertising. You can't flog your wares, but we'll talk about what you can and can't do in advertising. We'll also share ways that you can learn more about proper social media strategies. I'm Michael Bull. This is the Commercial Real Estate Show. We'll be right back. The Commercial Real Estate Show is brought to you by your friends at Bull Realty, France Medio, Atlanta Office Liquidators, and Wiseman, Nowak, Curry, and Wilco. For more information about these companies or to access additional show podcasts, videos, or blogs, visit commercialrealestateshow.com.